Hola, this is Kourtney Coleman, and I wanted to take a moment to share with you how I actually got into Reiki. Now, I'm going to make this statement that this is just to share because I do feel that there are other people who have a situation, who have maybe even a crisis of belief. This is not to convert anyone. This is not to convince anyone. This is not to discuss my journey with anyone. My journey is my journey, and that is it. I am just an open person, and I am just willing to share my story and how I got to where I am. So it's not for everybody. Everybody has their own journey, and I am utterly free from what anybody else thinks about my journey. So I want to start my journey back where we were actually in ministry. And this is not the starting point for the activation of my gifts. This is just where I'm going to start my story. I'm going to do another video on intuitive readings separately, just so that I can keep the stories pertaining to whoever is looking for a particular topic from me. So back in ministry, this was where a different level of my gifts were activated, and I could see that I was able to do different things that other people couldn't do. And it made me kind of stand out. Not because I wanted to, but because of how other people treated me. So I was an intercessor. I was probably the crier. No, I know I was a crier. I am the crier, but I know why now. It's because I'm an empath, and I'll go ahead and explain that right now. An empath is a person who can feel what other people feel. So when I go into a room, I feel everybody else's emotions. This is why big events for me can be very draining. This is why you'll hear me mention this in some of my teachings, because it is such a big part of who I am. And I've had to learn how to navigate that. Outside of the church, I learned how to navigate that. Inside of the church, I had no idea. And sometimes it was very crippling. Like one person hugged me and I literally sat in a pew, like balled up, because it was like a anaconda had me wrapped up, squeezing the life out of me. But I'm an empath. I can feel what other people feel, whether it's on the phone, whether it's through a video chat, whether it's in person. I feel when somebody else's energy changes. Good, bad, ugly, different, mean, evil, good. I feel it. And it can be very draining. So I have to plan my activities so that I can make sure that I can replenish who I am, because I feel everybody else's energy. And I had to learn, and I'm still learning, this is my energy, that's not my energy. So in part of being an empath in ministry, I could feel other people. I can feel when the environments change. I could close my eyes and I can see different colors of clouds. Like the clouds will be different colors. If someone spoke in tongues, I could see the visual. I could touch a person and I would see things. I can hear spiritually. I can see as well, like I said, when I pray. So I have these gifts. There's a gift mix that I have, and everybody has their own gifts. And they would call me the prophetess. So, people treated me strange. Not the way that you prefer to be treated, but that's just what they did. I don't know what you're seeing. What are you seeing? Is my screen sharing? I thought it was sharing. Oh, no, it is sharing. Okay, I continue. I was actually taught by God. I did seek out a human mentor. It never seemed to work out. I was never taught or fed. Like when you have this, there's a hole, a gap that you desire to be filled, and you get a little bit and you want more. I was never able to get what I was trying to get. So I spent a lot of time alone learning from spirit. So let me stop here and explain this. Where I sit now, my beliefs have changed. Spirit, the universe, God, energy, light are all the same thing. If you call God by another name, by another religion, that's totally fine with me, because I believe that God is much bigger than what I was traditionally taught. I think that God, in his infinite wisdom, spirit, universe, its infinite wisdom, obviously has the ability to create new languages and new customs in people so that they can communicate the way that they need to communicate, the way he made them to communicate. And he made it okay. He's multifaceted. Why would he only create one type of people and one type of language? And that's my new belief. I have found him bigger, larger, more loving, more compassionate, so much more, since I am now outside of what I was traditionally taught. And that's me. And everybody has their point of view. So I believe it's all one. It's all one entity. Whatever you call it is totally fine with me. I did try the mentor, like I said. It just didn't work out for me, and he actually trained me, and I'll just say Spirit trained me the way he wanted me trained. And I understood that he didn't want me tainted, and being here now at this moment, I can see why it would have been harder to come out. So yes, I had people I tried to learn from. It just didn't work out. Being in ministry, I was able to be a mentor, and my gifts obviously would grow from being around people, having to teach people. And that was nice. That was interesting at times. And that just started that whole coaching, mentoring journey for me. In that journey, I decided to take it to a different level, and I started taking coaching classes. And I made a comment in a group one day, and I said something to the fact of, I need information on how to handle when I'm around people. It just gets really overwhelming for me. And I hate feeling like I'm fine. They call for a meeting. I start getting antsy, and then I get into the meeting, and now I feel like I'm having anxiety. And why is everybody here to talk about me? And I just didn't understand what was going on. And I put it in the chat, and someone says to me, "You sound like an empath." And at the time, I had never heard of it. And I'm like, what is that? Let me go and check it out. And when I read what it was, I was like, oh my gosh, this is me. Wow. There's something outside of the church that has what I have. Oh my goodness. It was, when you think about it, it's like, duh, really. But that's not what it's like when you're in it. And so when you're only told what's inside of this box is right and it's the only way, and you step outside and you're like, no, it's not. It's an interesting place to be in. So I learned that they have this outside of the church too. Well, what is this? And another person chimed in and says, you might be an HSP. And I said, what is that? I looked up what an HSP was. It's a highly sensitive person. So I Googled it, and they had an assessment. I took the assessment. I was all but 3, and I could not believe it. So I went to my husband and I said, take this test as if you were me. He checked all but 2. And I said, why did you check that? He says, because you do this. And I said, oh my gosh. So now I discovered I'm an empath and an HSP. And I thought, wow, okay, I really need to pay attention to me. This is really going to help me not be so overwhelmed with everything that goes on. And I found such compassionate, well-balanced, very gifted people. And I just thought, wow, I've been missing this my whole life up till now. They weren't strange. I didn't feel they were strange because, hey, I was quote unquote strange, right? So for me, this was starting to feel like there were others that were like me, and I wasn't such an oddball anyway. It was great to know that I wasn't going to blow up or burst into flames just because I was investigating something outside of the church. So there would be people who would say they wanted to get on a call because they were practicing, like many in coaching. And when we're getting certified, we tell people, hey, I'd love to do this service for you for free because I'm getting the certification. And I would get on the call and they would say, oh my gosh, your energy is so huge and so strong. And I started to feel like, oh, what's wrong with me? Let me tone down my energy. Oh my gosh, it's too big. Oh my gosh, my energy is offending people. And that was where I was at the time. Now I'm at the place where I give you the opportunity to see what it is like to live from that position. You should want to come up. I will not shrink down. And that's where I am now. I had a vision of this bracelet that was green and white. It looked like rocks, but I understood it was crystals. And I couldn't understand why I kept seeing this bracelet. Now I have to take you back real quick to another short story. When I was in the church, I kept having this visual of, and I used to love the Old Testament, I kept having a visual of this pot, this cauldron of hot water, dirty, filthy, filthy, filthy water being poured out of the sky, like in Ezekiel. Poured out in front of me. I'm like, why do you keep showing me this, God? Why do you keep showing me this dirty pot of water I don't understand? Well, at work, we have a water cooler. And about noon to 3, I just get really sluggish. No, let me take that back. It's before that, because noon to 3 is normally because you ate lunch and you have that slump. But this was before that. I would be fine at home. I would be active. I would be slim. I get to work and I'm trying to drink all my water and I start getting bloated and I start belching continuously. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? One day I brought my briefcase to work and I'm still seeing this pot of dirty water being poured out. Don't know why. Can you please tell me what this is? I go to work with my briefcase. I have a bottle of Dasani. I'm drinking Dasani for the day. I'm not sluggish. I'm not bloated. I'm not belching. What is this? Well, I had made an appointment at the allergist. I get to the allergist. I'm telling the allergist, at work, I'm trying to drink all this water and I just get bloated and I don't know what's wrong. And one day I took a Dasani and I was fine and I don't understand what's wrong. And he looks at me and says, do you have a water cooler at your job? And I says, yes. He says, the filter is broken. It's putting mold in the water. And you have a high allergy to mold. You need to tell them to get it serviced immediately. What? So every time I would go to work and I'm drinking out the fountain, I was having an allergic reaction. There's a guy at the office who fills up his little half-gallon jug and says, every day around 2 o'clock, I get this really bad headache for the rest of the day. He's trying to drink a gallon of the water. So I go to the office manager and I say, we need to get this serviced immediately. It's broken. You need to get it fixed. I'm drinking mold. I'm allergic to mold. They call the people in to service it. Sure enough, there's mold growing in the filters. My gifts were active. My gifts are still active, even though I am not in the church. They didn't stop working. However, I felt like maybe my gifts don't work anymore. I didn't put myself in a position for my gifts to be active, at least consciously. I didn't. So I felt like they were not active because I got upset about this whole church thing. That's another story. I won't go into it. No need to. But once I left, I felt like, well, I guess that part of my life is over. It wasn't over. They needed to be dormant for a reason because I had some exploration to do. So let me take you back to the bracelet I kept seeing. And I decided enough of this bracelet because he took me back to the pot. And I thought, oh my gosh, okay, I have to go find this bracelet. During the time, my allergies were really bad. I didn't know what the crystal was. I just know what it looked like. It was green and it had a white streak, and I'll actually put it in the video. So I go to this crystal shop we have in town, and I say, I'm just here to browse. I'm looking for this green crystal. I don't know what it is. And say, oh, they're over there. I go look, and I don't see the little ones. I see this one that looks like what I had been seeing, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. Wow. So this was the beginning of my crystal journey. This particular crystal actually is a healing crystal, and it helps with cleansing. So needless to say, long story short, once I cleaned and cleared the crystal and I wore the crystal, my nose ran for 2-3 days like a faucet. It was crazy. I was zooming and now I take crystals and put them in my bra so they're next to my skin. But I was zooming, literally felt like I was zooming the entire time. And there was something about a moon or something shifting at the time. I didn't understand that at the time. That's really not my avenue. So there's still stuff I don't know about that. However, I had it in my bra for 3 days. And on the 4th day, I had no allergies. I don't take allergy pills anymore. I have my crystal. So I believe, which actually they are, crystals are just the raw form of vitamins. It's natural from the earth. No human bothered it to a certain extent, contaminated it. It's raw, like it was created to be. And so I wear crystals. That's my belief. That's what I do. It works perfectly for me. I did not burst into flames, and I am totally fine. And I actually love the fact that I have help in different modalities that I did not have before. What else did I want to share with you? So the same teacher I had then, I actually have now. There are things that I have desired to study. And for instance, more even about my giftings and my gift mix. And I said, well, let me sign up for this course and I'll go sit and meditate. And I'll say, okay, well, let me do this exercise. And he'll tell me, no, this is what you're going to do. And I sit and I do it. So I actually asked one of the teachers, I said, okay, well, I had set a timer for an hour because I had to do something else. And I wanted to make sure that I was leaving on time. And I had mentioned to her something about the meditation. And she says, oh, I said the meditation was like an hour. She says, no. She says the prepping, the breathing, the meditation and exercise lasted max 20 minutes. That meant it was just me and my teacher. And I thought, wow, I was really there that long. But when I understand when he tells me what to do, that's what I do. I follow where he leads to the best of my ability. And I understand that his teaching supersedes any other teaching I want or someone else is trying to teach me. And that's because of the relationship I had before with where I wanted a teacher. And I was basically not permitted to have a teacher because it kept falling through. And I'm totally fine with that because I get those lessons now. What I also understand was that I needed a space in time where my gifts were not as active because I needed this particular journey to do some other teaching in a different way. What I want to say is before I would spend a lot of time questioning either what I heard, what I saw, or what I felt. I could be writing in my journal, praying and writing in my journal, or going back over a dream and doing the dream interpretation, or, trying to figure out if I heard, saw, or felt correctly. And it was, I will say, torture, because I was always in a state of flux of I don't know. We were in a class, and the biblical studies class, and we were asked to join hands. And this was another thing. It was so sporadic. I couldn't tell when it was coming. I didn't know what was going to happen. We held hands, or we were told to touch the shoulder, because I specifically had my hands on this lady's back where her shoulder blades were. And I instantly saw 2 Ziploc bags full of water, and they were filling up. And I thought, whoa, what's that? Why am I seeing Ziploc bags of water on her back? What is that? And I understood it was about her lungs and about her being sick. We finished. The person who was leading praying finished. Oh, it was about praying for your partner. That's what it was. It was about praying for your partner that was next to you. And when everybody finished, I asked her, because I was so uneasy and so unsure, and I said, this might sound kind of strange, but are you sick? Do you have a cold or something going on with your lungs? And she looks at me like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, this is what I saw. So just follow up with the doctor just to make sure you're okay. I'm not sick. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean anything by it. That was what that was like for me. Not having a person to reaffirm, yes, you saw right. Not that she could or couldn't have or could have been in denial, whatever. I don't know. I don't care. I didn't even follow up with her. I know what I saw. To this day, I can tell you the light temperature in the room. There is no doubt in my mind as to what I saw and what I felt. But the person. And me not having someone with me to affirm, like, yes, you're on the right track. Yes, this is, whatever. And everybody has a different gift mix. And it's not to say that somebody can always guide you. I had my journey the way I had my journey. And now I understand it more. So it was a difficult time for me. My husband has kicked me out of our bedroom because dreams and stuff got really vivid. Obviously, people think or thought that I was strange because nobody else was doing this with them. So there was just a lot of unfamiliarity on both sides. So it was not very pleasant for me. Now I actually have a face and a name to what I was actually doing. I remember being at the altar and touching a lady's hands, and I saw the garbage dump. And I immediately knew what it was. And I told her, you are not a dump. You are valuable. I just went into detail with her about what that was. A young man came up and he smelled like, I don't know, 80 people were smoking in his car or something. I mean, he smelled like, oh my gosh, I can't even, the amount of smoke that was. Nobody else at the altar could smell this. And I'm asking people next to me, because I say, oh my God, the smoke, who smoked? Who was smoking? And everybody's looking at me, nobody's smoking. I'm like, yes, it is. How do you not smell this smoke? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It was like hard for me to breathe. It was that much smoke, but nobody else could smell the smoke. But it's okay. That's part of my gifting. But I had nobody to lean on inside of the church to teach me and to not make me feel like I was some strange alien. My husband was diagnosed with a autoimmune disease that African American people don't get. My husband is African American. I have spent many nights praying and laying hands on my husband. When I touch, I see or I hear. And one day I was praying over him and I said, your lungs, I see this tube. There's this tube and it has a rubber band wrapped around the tube. And he says, my breathing is restricted. And I said, oh, that's what that is. I am so grateful for the opportunity to have come to finally meet the power of Reiki, to know that what I've been doing, taught by Spirit, God, the universe, on my own, that there is something that can back up what I have been doing. And yes, they have symbols. I'm totally fine with that. Yes, it's from another language. I am totally fine with that. I understand how awesome and magnificent our Creator is. So there are no boundaries. The fact that what I was doing, being taught by my teacher on my own, lines up, unless there is something else better and closer than Reiki, than what I have been doing, I am very open to it. But this was how I got introduced to Reiki. Because of this history that I've shared with you, I have been looking for somebody to tell me how to work with my energy, how to help me with all of these feelings and my different gifts, and how does it work? And okay, I can help heal people, because I was taught to pray about whatever until I saw it go away. I was taught to use my hands and motions and draw and like all of that on my own. And then to find Reiki was like, oh my gosh, this is what I was doing. So for me, Reiki is what I've been doing. It's just under a different language. And there's somebody who has like a quote unquote teaching to share with me. And I am so happy for the opportunity. This past year, I had the great opportunity to take a class to just learn about energy. What is this energy thing? Unbeknownst to me, some of the activities were about, and I guess different teachings, they all kind of go around the same thing, but it ends up being that this particular teaching is basically an introduction to Reiki. Now, I don't know if that was the teacher's intent, and she has another certification or she has another study that she does, but it actually ends up being the intro into Reiki. So for me, there were so many things that were lining up. It was just amazing. Now, mind you, when I took this particular class, I didn't think, oh, this is Reiki. Oh, let me study this. Oh, we learned about meridians, and it was great. I didn't think anything of it. But then more things had been happening, and all of a sudden I found myself being able to find Reiki online, because it was either shamanic healing or it was Reiki. Those were the two things that I kept hearing for me. And I'm like, but who is my lineage from? And I have things that are telling me to seek out my ancestors. So if that comes later, I won't be surprised. But Reiki and the shamanic healing or lineage is what I keep hearing. And I know as a human, I won't get everything right, but there's a reason why I'm on the journey that I'm on. So I definitely understand my gifts more. I definitely now understand, and absolutely having practiced with my husband since 2004 for praying and laying on hands and all of this, I've had eons of practice. And I am just so excited to put a face and a name to my years of practice and journey. What I want to share. So I knew I was a healer. I just didn't know how it would all play in the scheme of things for me as a business. This, as of now, is not the focus of my business. I know it's a part of my business because I can do distance Reiki. I know I can do it for my clients. And I'm totally fine with that. I don't feel like I'm going to have a massage. It's not for me. My hands can't take it. So I know that's not for me. But the fact that I get to use this part of me and this part of me doesn't just dwindle out and die, I'm extremely excited about. I know this was kind of long. I hope I covered everything. Like I said in the disclaimer in the beginning, this is just for me to share my journey. I was even instructed not to explain. And I understand the whole part of explaining, not to convince, because that's not what this is about. This is just to share my journey because I know some people are going to wonder, how did this happen? And this is just how it happened for me. Yeah. So this is how I got introduced to Reiki. If anyone ever has questions, I will send them directly to the video so that I don't ever have to repeat this again. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful story. But it's now recorded. So thank you for allowing me to share my journey with you as to how I got into Reiki. If it inspires you to be free, be free. If it inspires you to go and explore, go explore. It is well. Until next time, I'm Kourtney Coleman. Stay true to the real you.